Okay, let's decode this. Number one, over-explaining every feeling so they don't leave. You're not in love. You're just scared they'll leave if you ever stop performing. Which, ironically, means they've never even met the real you. Most of what we call love is really just survival in disguise. Like, yeah, sure, you want connection, but what you're actually doing is managing their perception of you 24/7, low-key panicking anytime something feels off. If that's you, yeah, it's probably fear pretending to be love. You ever catch yourself writing a 3-paragraph text just to explain why you said something kind of dry earlier? Like, they didn't even bring it up. You just felt the vibe shift and immediately started spiraling. This isn't you being good at communication. This is you trying to prevent rejection before it even shows up. It's like your brain thinks if you explain yourself thoroughly enough, if you say everything perfectly, you'll be safe. They won't get mad. They won't pull away. They'll stay. But real love isn't about being perfect. You don't need to constantly justify your tone or mood or punctuation. And if they do require all of that just to feel okay with you, then they're not really seeing you. They're managing a version of you that's been edited down to keep the peace. Number two, needing constant reassurance, but calling it being honest. You say you're just communicating your needs, which is good, until your need becomes a full-time job for the other person. Like asking 17 times a day if they're mad, if you're annoying, if they still like you, if you ruined everything by sounding off this morning. You're not trying to be difficult. You're just scared. Scared that love is something that disappears without warning. And if you don't check in constantly, it might vanish while you're not looking. So reassurance becomes a compulsion. And even when they give it, it only lasts like 10 minutes. Then the anxiety kicks in again, and you start the loop all over. Honesty is good, but love isn't supposed to feel like constantly begging for proof. Number three, fixing their problems so you don't have to feel yours. You always jump in to help. You plan things for them. You give advice. You become their emotional support human. And yeah, it looks like love, but deep down it's something else. Because when you're focused on their problems, you don't have to face your own. You get to feel needed. You get to avoid your own loneliness or pain by pouring all your energy into fixing someone else. And the wild thing is, they probably never asked you to do that. You just slid into that role because it felt safer than being vulnerable yourself. Helping is fine, but if you're doing it to avoid your own feelings, that's not love. That's avoidance. Number four, never starting fights, just collecting resentments. You hate conflict. You always let things slide. You tell yourself it's not worth the argument, that you're being mature, that you're not dramatic. But what you're really doing is stuffing every frustration down into a little mental vault. Until one day, the vault breaks open and you lose it over how they chew their gum. You think keeping the peace means keeping the relationship intact. But real love can handle conflict. Real love involves saying the thing, even if it's awkward or uncomfortable or makes them look at you weird for a second. If you're always swallowing your feelings to avoid losing them, then you're not really being loved for who you are. You're being tolerated for who you're pretending to be. Number five, mistaking intensity for intimacy. Sometimes you meet someone and it's fireworks. You talk for hours. You cry together. You trauma bond over shared childhood wounds. You call it fate. But a lot of the time, that intensity isn't real closeness. It's just your nervous system freaking out and calling it passion. The highs feel like love. The lows feel like proof that it matters. And now you're stuck in this cycle of chaos and chemistry and calling it deep connection. But intimacy isn't about how fast someone makes you cry. It's about whether you feel safe telling the truth. It's boring sometimes. It's slow. It doesn't set off alarm bells. If it always feels like a roller coaster, maybe it's not love. Maybe it's just adrenaline. Number six, choosing people who feel familiar, not safe. You keep ending up with the same kind of person. Emotionally unavailable. Hot and cold. Maybe even kind of mean, but in a charming way. And you think, this is just my type. But it's not a type, it's a pattern. You're drawn to what feels familiar. And if familiar growing up meant unpredictability, chaos, or walking on eggshells, then that's what you'll mistake for chemistry. The problem is, safety can feel boring when you're used to survival. Healthy people might not trigger your nervous system the same way. so you overlook them. But love isn't supposed to feel like tension. It's supposed to feel like rest. Number 7, turning yourself into a mirror so they'll like the reflection. You start picking up their interests, their phrases, their hobbies. Suddenly you're into rock climbing and obscure documentaries and sitting in total silence for long periods. You call it sharing, but if you're honest, you're just becoming more like them, so they'll keep liking you. You stop sharing opinions that might create tension. You adapt. You shape-shift. You become a version of yourself that's easier to love. But the more you mirror them, the less you exist. And one day you realize you've built a relationship where you're not even sure what you like anymore. You're just hoping they don't notice you're performing. That's not love. That's fear wearing a very convincing mask. Number 8, calling it loyalty when it's actually fear of being alone. You say you're loyal, that you stick it out, that you don't give up on people. But the truth? You're just scared. You're scared that if this ends, nothing better is coming. That being alone will feel worse than staying with someone who makes you feel small, or bored, or lonely in a different way. So you stay, even when it's been years of quietly suffering and pretending things are okay. You're not loyal. You're afraid. And the longer you call it love, the longer you delay the freedom you actually want. Number 9, final words. So yeah, turns out a lot of the stuff we thought was love is actually just our childhood fears doing improv in adult relationships. Over-explaining everything, begging for reassurance, dating the same emotionally unavailable people on loop. It's not a cute little quirk. It's a warning light. And now you know. No pressure. Just go ahead and unlearn all your survival patterns and maybe also learn how to sit in silence without spiraling. Easy. Anyway, therapy's great. Good luck out there. All right, that's the real talk for today. What were your biggest takeaways? Let me know in the comments below. If you dug this video, a like would be awesome, and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. See you then.